Rush to the yayo. That's right, Tony Montana. The UFC is back in motherfucking Miami this weekend. So Zach from Filthy Philadelphia and John Boy down in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida, got to bring you a 10-8 pod. John Boy, it's coming to your backyard. How you feeling?
I have mixed emotions right now.
Tell us
Um,
about it. Tell the fans. They deserve to know.
it's in my backyard, like you mentioned. It's in Miami. First time in what, 8 years?
I think 15.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. I do not think I will be in attendance.
That's heartbreaking.
And I haven't fully wrapped it around my mind yet. I think the morning of it's going to hit, which is tough. But dude, I just couldn't make it happen, man.
Listen, sometimes it's like that. I get it. The UFC hasn't been to Philadelphia since 2019. So I get it. I understand where you're coming
You were
from.
there, though. You
I
were
was
there.
there. Yeah, I was there. I was. That's a good point. Never mind. I don't understand where you're coming from. I actually flew back from Texas early to go to that card.
Thank you.
Yeah, nope, never mind. I can't relate. Well, at least you'll be able to like feel the energy. Maybe you I don't know, maybe you hit up Miller's Ale House, official sponsor of the 10-8 pod. You grab yourself some boneless buffalo wings, you know? Maybe you bump into Wonderboy Thompson. I don't know. Dustin Poirier is making his commentary debut.
You didn't tell me this.
I feel like maybe you could bump into the Diamond at a Miller's Ale House. The Diamond hits Miller's. You just know he's a Miller's Ale House kind of guy.
Huge Miller guy.
Yeah,
Huge Miller guy.
he can't get enough Millers. And that's Miller's Ale House, official sponsor of the 10-8 podcast. If the fights are on, get your ass to Miller's.
God damn, that is good.
My energy is I'm not even gonna waste
Holy shit.
I'm not even gonna waste time.
Well,
Hang on. Ooh, there we go.
do what you gotta do.
Okay.
We're back, dude. It feels like it's been a little bit. It has been a little bit.
Well, we had no card last week, right? So
No.
I had to amuse myself by going down to the local CFFC card, down here in South Philly, 2300 Arena, birthplace of the ECW.
Wow.
Shout out Paul Heyman.
Oh my goodness, Paul Heyman. Wow.
Legends were born in that arena.
Those are Heyman roots. I didn't realize that.
Those are Heyman roots. ECW, 8 o'clock Friday night, coming to you from the 2300 Arena.
That's royalty. That's royalty.
When New Jack almost killed a fat kid in the audience, that's Philadelphia right there. That's how we do it in Philly.
Okay.
He's never right again, by the way. He's still fucked up. He lived, but he's still fucked up. But yeah, I hit the CFFC card. Shout out to local Philly talent. Riley Palmer came out in his pro debut, had the place absolutely jumping. I mean, there's something about Philadelphia getting behind an athlete, especially a combat athlete. It just becomes a fever pitch. You can't describe the energy. Folding chairs were getting thrown, drinks were getting thrown. It was rowdy.
That's what it's all about right there. Is this UFC material or what?
Look, I don't know if he's UFC material. Kid just made his pro debut. I'm sure CFFC is going to give him some step ups in competition next. But I got to tell you, bell to bell, the kid looked good. Finished it with a late submission, an armbar that I actually thought, mistakenly, I thought was a little too high. But he hit a fucking armbar that was beautifully done. Hands look crisp. Grappling was prime. I think he's somebody to watch. He's a young kid too. He's young 20s maybe.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, heard it here first. Check out the homie Riley Palmer because he could have star quality.
So
we got business to take care of. Are there fights this weekend?
I through the grapevine heard it. I heard they're in my backyard actually.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
Dude, we got a big one.
This card is kind of electric.
This card is electric, but this fight at the top of the list is a massive fight. It is a massive fight.
Hotan Alex Pereira stepping in for the fourth time against Israel Adesanya.
Yeah.
I mean,
Izzy's been trying to play this fight down, right? Like, oh, like, yeah, I'm gonna give it my all. I'm just gonna step back in there. But this is it, man. This is a legacy fight. This is the last opportunity that Israel's gonna have to take this fight. Um, they fought. This is gonna be the fourth time, Zach. Pereira has won three prior.
yeah,
Who do you think the favorite is in this one?
Israel Adesanya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Israel Adesanya is a minus 135 favorite in this spot.
And I think and this is separate from who I think is going to win, but I think that's lined correctly. We go back to the kickboxing days, right? Which is where they met. They met in Glory. Um, their first fight, I believe, was an extremely close fight.
Yes.
Their second fight, Alex Pereira starches Izzy.
After Izzy controls majority of the fight as well.
Exactly.
Similar to the UFC fight that unfolded, the third fight.
Exactly. So once again, Ghost of Christmas Past. Now these men meet in the UFC. Potan is the boogeyman. He's big. He's bad. He's scary. He trains in Connecticut. And Israel Adesanya, for 4 of the 5 rounds, handled business, I thought, pretty thoroughly. Izzy worked in takedowns. Alex Pereira looked like he had no answer for him, looked like he didn't know what to do on the ground. Izzy seemed to be able to kind of roll off the power a little bit, kept it breezy. And then lo and behold, 5th round, here comes a secret gear no one knew Potan had. He comes in, stops Israel Adesanya in the octagon. So I think Izzy is lined correctly as the favorite because for a majority of the minutes they've spent fighting each other, Israel Adesanya has been in control. There are only 2 minutes that separate this legacy, and they're the 2 minutes that Israel Adesanya has been starched by Alex Pereira.
So is that your official pick?
My official pick is I think Pereira is going to win.
Really?
I do. I do. It becomes, there's an interesting statistic if you're taking the bar exam to become a lawyer. And that is that if you fail it the first time, I believe you have like a 25% increase probability of passing it the second time.
Gotcha.
Right? So if you fail it once, you're probably going to pass it the second time.
Yep.
If you fail the second time, your chances of passing decrease incrementally each time you take it. Because at some point, what the statistics say is you just don't have the tools necessary to pass this test.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking at with Israel Adesanya. I think his best chance to beat Pereira was welcoming him to the UFC. I think now, exponentially, each time they fight, his chances get worse.
Yeah, it's hard for me to disagree with that. I'm a huge Izzy fan. I wanted him to win the last fight. I want him to win this fight. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's stylistically, right? Pereira is the perfect counter to Izzy. Izzy can't stay at bay. He can't point fight. It's one of those cases where you just think, I think Pereira might have his number. And oh man, it's a tough one. I would lay off of it, but from merely an odds-based standpoint, how can you not bet Alex Pereira here at plus money?
Right. How can you not?
You know what I mean? When a guy wins 3 of the last 3, you're inclined to automatically hit the red button if he's plus money in the fourth one. I think he probably has his number here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to side with you. I think we're both going Pereira here, which is it hurts to say it. I don't want to.
I don't want to. It breaks my heart to say it because I'm going to be rooting for Israel Adesanya. I've been an Izzy fan since he came to the UFC. I think he's, look, is he the most exciting guy to watch? No. But if you're a fight fan, if you're not a fucking casual, you can really appreciate the masterclass in point fighting that Izzy puts on inside the cage. The way he moves, the awkward movements that make guys miss, the way he'll tag you and get out of your way before you even know what's coming. It's a masterclass in striking when Adesanya steps in the cage. And I love the pre-fight gimmicks. I love the way he does it. The Undertaker intro last year at International Fight Week, fucking electric. I love it. I'm an Izzy guy. But because we bring honesty to this podcast, if there's anyone on God's green earth that has his number, it's Pereira, who, by the way, right now is like training with like light heavyweights and heavyweights in Connecticut.
Yeah, he
He's
could be a
sparring
heavyweight.
fucking monsters.
Yeah, if he went to light heavyweight, he might be an issue. The grappling might be a problem at light heavyweight, but yeah, no, he looks good. He looks better than ever too. He looks good in his training videos and just his camp looks good. You haven't seen a ton out of Izzy. He's kind of been quiet on the subject, which is good as well. This is a tough one though, man. I wouldn't have a lot invested in it. I'm gonna lean toward Pereira with the odds, and fingers crossed Izzy gets it done though.
I hope Izzy gets it done. I thought 185 was a lot of fun with Izzy as the champ. Although, counterpoint to that, there weren't a lot of guys at 185 that seemed to be able to deal with that point fighting style that Izzy had, that kind of just death by 1,000 paper cut style. The added benefit to Pereira winning might be that it opens up the gates at 185 a little bit more. Because I got to tell you, I think our boy Bobby Knuckles is kind of perfectly suited to fight Pereira because he's not scared of power, right? He's not scared of how hard you hit. He hits just as hard. Oh, and that motherfucker can grapple. If you thought Israel Adesanya's half-assed double leg attempts in the third round were a problem for Pereira, wait until Robert Whitaker gets his fucking hands on him. You know what I mean? So it might open up the tunnel a little bit at 185. And there's a lot of guys coming up in the wings, waiting in the shadows at 185 that are dangerous, dangerous dudes. It could be worth losing the battle to win the war here. But it
If
ain't.
Pereira doesn't go up in weight, because I could see him win the belt and just go up to 205 and fight like, imagine him fighting Yuri or freaking Sweet Dreams. Him and Jamal Hill would be insane, especially after Jamal Hill just beat his training partner and main coach Glover Teixeira.
Yeah.
Woo!
Well, that writes itself, right? I mean, that's
Come
the huge
on.
drama of the fight game that we love.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, if Pereira doesn't figure out the grappling, he's gonna have a fucking rough day at 205.
No, agreed.
You know, those guys are not taking it lightly on him. Pereira's obviously got the power. He's obviously got the hand speed. Obviously, he's got the grit, the determination, the toughness. But at some point, whether it be at 185 or 205, he's going to run into a grappler. It ain't Izzy. Izzy's not a grappler, but he's going to run into one, and he's going to have a rough night if he doesn't figure it out.
No, I can get behind that. I could see a Vittori, one of those guys, give him real issues for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and Vittori coming off of a win, I'm sure he's hungry to call out somebody at the top.
Well, we got more.
We got more. The co-main event, which, okay, Gilbert Burns, Dorino taking on Jorge Gamebred Masvidal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Gilbert Burns is a big favorite.
You would be correct, minus 450.
Yeah.
Jorge Masvidal plus 350.
Yeah. I think that's correctly lined.
I think 450 is a little bit wide. I think it's here. This is what I'll say. I think it's so wide. I'm actually willing to take a play on Jorge Masvidal plus 350.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think they're going to stand up in enough exchanges where Masvidal could cause Burns problems here. Burns isn't the greatest wrestler. He's a great grappler.
Yeah.
I don't know if his takedowns are that great. I don't know if he can get it to where he needs it to be. Masvidal, all he does is train against grapplers. I mean, he's fought Usman, Covington. He's at ATT. He's seen it all, that type of thing. And he's in his backyard in Miami. And you're going to give me that much juice in his backyard? I don't know. I kind of like Masvidal as a dog here. Call me crazy. Tell me I'm crazy, Zach.
I'm going to tell you you're crazy.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you I love the energy. I mean,
Okay.
what would be better than Jorge super necessary Masvidal getting in as a dog in Miami? What would be better, right? if there is any justice from the MMA gods, we'll see it happen.
Yeah.
But I look at his last 6 fights. He's 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see anyone in the Rolodex here that tells me that he's going to cause a problem for Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
So his last 3 are losses, and they're losses to some absolute stellar competition, right? Best in the business. Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman. Tough customers. A win over Nate Diaz. A win over Ben Askren, the famous flying Nate. A win over Darren Till.
Those feel like generations ago, too, those wins.
And they're really not. 4 years ago is when he got those 3 wins. He fought 3 times in 2019.
That's pretty far. That's pretty far, though.
Racked up 3 wins and has not won since. Has not won a fight in 4 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's a long time.
That's a very long time to not win a fight.
And to contextualize that a little bit, Jorge Masvidal is 38 years old.
Yeah. There are rumors that if he loses this fight, he will retire. He literally just had his big boxing event. I don't know if you saw Roy Jones Jr. boxed Anthony Pettis. Jeremy Stevens boxed Jose Aldo, and Vitor Belfort boxed Jacare Souza. So that was wild. So Masvidal's got some things on the back burner. Let me get this straight though. Burns is the favorite, the rightful favorite, plus 350 though, with all the variables in at play. Gilbert Burns is a guy too that sometimes doesn't show up to fights. We're talking about a guy that got KO'd by Usman when Usman didn't KO anybody, who doesn't KO anybody. He got KO'd by Dan Hooker at 155 pounds. I mean, he's been knocked out flush before against guys who have lesser striking prowess than Masvidal does. So I'm a little bit timid to get to that minus 450 number. That's all I'm saying with Burns. 450s, that's a huge favorite.
That is. Yeah, I look.
Biggest favorite on the card.
Yeah, I look at the end of the day, and it's a similar situation to the last fight. I know who the favorite is. I'm just, I'm hoping for an alternative outcome than what I think is likely. I think it's likely that Burns gets it done. Right? However he wants, I would guess grappling. That would be my best guess.
So he's gonna have to grapple. Do you think he would win striking exchanges? That's kind of where I'm at.
I probably wouldn't have thought so, except if the Burns that fought Hamzat shows up.
You think Hamzat's a better striker, though? Like, I would take Masvidal over both of those guys in a striking affair. Like, easily.
I don't know. I don't know.
Masvidal can bang.
Masvidal can absolutely bang. It's what he's famous for, right? Growing up in Miami, doing the backyard fights in Liberty City, like Kimbo Slice did. He's a progeny of Kimbo Slice. I mean, the man is known to bang, right? That's what he is famous for. But I look at Masvidal's resume, and this is the second iteration of Masvidal, right? This is Masvidal who went on the Vision Quest, left the MMA world, came back with a beard and with long hair. And this is new Jorge Masvidal. This is Street Jesus Masvidal. And even the second iteration of Masvidal, I don't see him as being anything other than kind of a mid-range fighter.
No, it's fair. I mean, at this point in time, too, right? 38 years of age, hasn't won in 4 years, right? Like, the chips are definitely stacked against him. He is in Miami, though. He is in Miami. And I think it's going to be a testament of if Burns can grapple him. I think that's what it's going to turn out to. And if you're giving me plus 350, I might roll the dice on there. Wait for the red circles. I'm bringing back the red circles this week for my predictions.
Thank God, because the fans fucking love the red circle.
They're coming back out, guys. I owe you guys a red circle chart. If it's at plus 350, I might dabble, Zach.
Look, that's fair enough, right? I get it, and again, right, betting against Masvidal in Miami is just spitting in the face of MMA legends. So I completely understand it. I just can't see it. I can't visualize it. I can't see him getting his hand raised in this fight. I hope he does. I hope I'm wrong. Masvidal is just, I've been using the quote super necessary since he said it after starching Ben Askren, right? Masvidal has been such a huge character in MMA. His beef with Colby Covington, love Masvidal, the BMF champion, right? I mean, undisputed BMF champion. He has a made up belt to his name, which he got over Nate Diaz. Uh, you gotta love Jorge Masvidal. I can't picture it. I can't see it in my mind. I
That's fair.
want to see it, but I
That's
can't.
fair.
But I'm rooting for him. I'm pulling for Jorge. And truthfully, what I hope, because he's got this boxing promotion, and what I will say, and I don't know if you caught him on Joe Rogan. Um, I was kind of blown away by how kind of what a deep thinker Masvidal was. I feel like you don't see that side of him very often when they do the embedded videos. You don't really like he sat down with Rogan, and this was a guy whose fight IQ, his knowledge, his history was just like it like blew me away. It's
You know,
really
he articulates well. He's a sharp dude. He knows what he's doing.
he's beyond sharp. And this is a dude who clearly like he did the homework assignments, right? He knows his history. MMA, boxing, jiu-jitsu, like he was, he was throwing some facts at Rogan that Rogan kind of was a little bit surprised by, but like true student of the game, which I really didn't know. But he was talking about his plans for the future with the boxing promotion, things he'd like to see happen. What I hope Masvidal wins on Saturday, and I hope he leaves the gloves in the cage. 38 years old, your boxing promotion seemed to go well. I'm a little bit suspect of the fact that a 50-something-year-old Roy Jones Jr. fought Anthony Pettis, but I'm not even going to bring it up because I want to see Jorge Masvidal do well.
Yeah, 100%, right? And I think in his mind, if he wins this fight, he thinks he fights Leon next, right? That's how the two-piece and the soda, three-piece and a soda, that's how that all came into fruition. So Masvidal sees kind of the yellow brick road to go that route. He's just got to get past Gilbert Burns, and it's a tough test.
Tough test. It's
A tall glass.
at the tall order, but I will say this, and I'm going to say this for both of these two fights. One thing we've kind of neglected so far: great fucking fights.
Great fights.
They're just great fights. They're just fun fights to watch. I'm just excited for this card.
Ooh, we have our gentleman's bet coming up pretty soon.
We're not there yet, though. We're not
We're
there
not
yet.
there yet, but we're close. I can taste it.
I feel it. And one gentleman's bet I've already won by default. So
Oh, get the
what you can do is break even.
that's called a DQ ticket. It's called it gets voided at the bettor's window.
When
We
you
got another fight.
When you do the red circles, what I'd like our fans to do is ask how much difficulty you had in doing the YouTube reels this week.
Okay.
Just I want them to kind of circle that back with you. See if they have any advice for you to do it in the future.
Okay, I like that actually.
But first things first, let's talk Rob Font, Adrian Yanez.
Yes.
Another good fight.
That's a great fight.
That's another really good fight.
Who do you got here as a favorite?
I got Rob Font as the favorite.
It is Adrian Yanez.
That's interesting.
Minus 180. Rob Font's at plus 155.
That's interesting.
Okay, our train of thought is pretty similarly aligned here. Couldn't get that out. I like Rob Font here.
I like Font here too. And I'm not going to take anything away from Adrian Yanez, but I mean, Rob Font's resume, the depth of his schedule speaks a lot more to me than Adrian Yanez taking on Tony Kelly, Davey Grant, and Randy Costa.
Yeah, it's a bit of a step up in competition.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a step up. And I mean, you're talking about a guy too in Rob Font, right? Who was doubling up Cheeto Vera on the strike count. Like you're talking about a guy who is extremely, extremely competitive. He wiped the mat with Cody Garbrandt over the course of 5 rounds.
Wiped
Right?
the mat with Cody Garbrandt, Marlon Moraes, Ricky Simon, who's like on a hot streak to beat all hot streaks right now. Sergio Pettis.
Yeah, and Yanez also took a couple of licks early on in that that fight that he had with who literally just got cut from the UFC, Randy Costa.
Yeah,
he got beat up early on in that fight, and Costa just kind of gassed. He won a split decision over Davey Grant as well. I think it's a little bit a little bit tall of an order for Adrian Yanez here. I'm also slightly confused why he's the favorite here.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I feel pretty strongly about Font on this one. Font's got that fucking dog in him. He's not afraid to brawl. That's kind of his middle name. Um, he throws volume after volume. Like you can't get pieced up if you're fighting Rob Font because that's just blood in the Shark Tank. Um, yeah, I feel pretty strongly about Rob Font here.
Yeah, I like Fawn at plus 155. He's probably my second favorite dog play on the card. We'll get to the first one a little bit later on, but yeah, man, I like Rob Fawn here a lot.
Yeah, I mean, not too much else to say. I think this is a huge step up for Yanez. I mean, and look, you don't know how a guy's going to react to a step up until he takes it, right? So, who knows if there's something we don't know. But I think you pointed out kind of well. I mean, a split decision over Davy Grant and getting tagged by Randy Costa early on does not inspire confidence in me.
And Rob Font's clean. He's got a really nice jab. He can box. He's out of that Boston strong camp with Calvin Kattar. I mean, there are killers in there.
They're fucking murderers in there.
And Rob Font's fought literally the best of the best of the best. And Yanez just has not there. It's just not there. It's not adding up. I love Rob Font, actually. Plus 155, Zach. I think that might be a 10-8 lock.
I feel strongly about it. So I think that might be the lock of the card.
Yeah, that's my favorite play by far.
Yeah. Well, it's
Here we
time
go.
now. Time now to discuss a 10-8 gentleman's wager. We've got a wager alert. A clean Hamilton on the line. No, that's not who's on the 20. Who's on the 20? We just did this.
We just did this. It was Alexander Hamilton.
No, isn't Hamilton on the 10?
Oh, fuck.
Who's on the 20? Is Franklin on the 20? No, Franklin's on the 100.
Andrew Jackson. Jesus.
Jackson. That's it. You know,
I knew that.
that's not a good performance for
I knew that. I knew that.
that centers around the betting odds.
No, that's all right. We're not used to 20s. We're on the Benji Franklin roll. We're
That's
not
it.
Ian Jacksons.
Listen, when I fill the DraftKings account, it doesn't tell me the denominations. It just gives me a number.
I've never seen a 20.
Well,
50.
we got a crisp Jackson on this one. Kevin
Okay.
Holland, trailblaze to the top. Kevin Holland
Yeah.
taking on the Argentine dagger Santiago Ponzinibbio.
I love Pawns too. I'm a big Pawns guy. I just think this is a horrible matchup for him.
I don't know. I got to tell you, I'm feeling Pons on this one.
You still feel the same way.
Dude, it hasn't changed.
I'm so glad because I feel the same exact way about Kevin Holland. I actually feel better, I think.
And look, here's the thing, right? Pons's resume is a little bit sus. It's a little bit sus. I just think he gets it done against Holland.
Dude, I don't see it.
And I got to tell you, it's almost less about Ponzinibbio and more about Holland. I just think Kevin Holland is on a fucking skid.
I don't see it, man. This is how I look at it, right? Santiago Ponzinibbio just fought Alex Morano on short notice. Mm-hmm. Alex Morano came in and beat the brakes off Pons for 10 minutes. I had Pons in that fight. I had money on Pons in that fight on DraftKings, Daily Fantasy. Check it out. Pons was losing that fight handily to Alex Morano. Comes back in the third round, clips him, hurts him, knocks him out, and wins the fight. Kevin Holland just fought Stephen Thompson competitively on the feet for 4 rounds. I think Kevin Holland made a bad decision challenging and fighting Stephen Thompson that way. I think if he fights Ponzinibbio the same exact way, he gets it done. Pons is getting up there in age. I think the damage is added up. And I think Kevin Holland knocks him out. I think Kevin Holland knocks him out. I think he knocks him out early. Definitively. Like definitively knocks Pons out.
It's another one. I just can't say it. I just can't say it. I didn't feel like Holland was competitive with Stephen Thompson on the feet. I thought it might have appeared there may have been an apparition of competitiveness in the first round or two, but then Stephen Thompson put it down in second gear and completely picked Holland apart.
Stephen Thompson could do that to anybody though at 185 pounds.
He absolutely could do it to anybody.
I'm sorry, 170.
I just, for a guy like Kevin Holland, who's never really seemed to find the height of his career, he's never really seemed to get it all the way together.
Okay.
I feel like a guy like Santiago Ponzinibbio, who's throwing with bad intentions and lead in his fists, is the perfect guy to get it done.
Okay.
This is kind of a reputation maker for Kevin Holland, though.
Are you starting to backtrack? Is that what I heard there?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay, okay. No, I'm
What
just,
I'm saying
just double checking. Just double checking.
what I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
You lost to Hamzat. Okay, we can all forgive it.
Yeah.
Tough break.
At 180-pound catch weight 24 hours before the fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then you had to have a corner stoppage against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yes.
At this point now, I feel like you've got to be, right? If you lose to Santiago Ponzinibbio, because look back, right?
He needs to win this fight. Yeah, no, I agree.
So he beat Tim Means.
That's a good win.
That's a good win. That's a good win. And we talked about that fight at length on this podcast.
That's a great win.
And I was backing Tim Means. So that might be your saving grace, because whenever I back Holland's opponent, he seems to win. He beats Tim Means. He beats Alex Oliveira.
Sounds like you're backtracking a little bit. Not gonna lie.
Not at all. Not at all.
All right.
But,
just making sure.
But let's get rid of the no contest against Kyle Dawkins. A loss to Marvin Vettori. A loss to Derek Brunson.
Wrestlers, though.
Sure.
Wrestlers, yeah.
But then you start.
Santiago's not a wrestler. He only has losses to wrestlers, and the only striker he lost to just so happens to be the best striker in the whole fucking goddamn thing. Oh wait, he has a loss to Thiago Santos at light heavyweight.
2018.
That was at light heavyweight.
Uh,
I think he smokes Pons.
Listen,
smokes him like a Billy Pack.
Let's see it then. Let's see it. I'm saying it's the odds are on your side, because whenever I bet against Kevin Holland, he seems to fucking win.
And the odds are actually on my side, because Kevin Holland is a minus 240 favorite in Vegas as well.
Fair enough. I'm not surprised to hear that.
So that's nice.
You wanna have we sufficiently broken this one down?
Yeah, I think so. I think we can move on to the next one. Dude, there's still some bangers. We got a Philly boy to talk about. You're gonna love my pick there.
Are you for once picking Philadelphia?
No, sirree.
You hate the city of Philadelphia. You know what? Do you want to talk about Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Christian Rodriguez?
Yeah, we should. We have to.
We have to.
We have to. Youngest fighter in UFC history.
Youngest, possibly ugliest, but damn sure not the least talented. Raul Rosas Jr., who is 18 years old, just barely.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
And he already has a win in the UFC.
He does. He beat whatchamacallit. It was a traffic cone, right?
It was Jay Perrin.
The traffic cone's twin brother, Jay Perrin.
Yes, the traffic cone's twin brother, Jay Perrin. And he beat Mondo Gutierrez on Dana White's Contender Series. This is, I don't know. And I don't know.
Christian Rodriguez is no slouch.
Christian Rodriguez is no slouch. He's got an anaconda choke over Josh Weems, lost a decision to Jonathan Pierce, submitted Ryan McIntosh, and then won a UD on the Dana White Contender Series in 2021. No slouch for certain. I don't know that we're going to get any questions answered necessarily, because I feel like the one saving grace here is that Christian Rodriguez is a grappler. So we'll be able to see Raul Rosas grappling acumen adequately tested, because that's what Rosas is known for, right? I mean, he's a tremendous MMA grappler.
Yeah.
We'll see it tested. I think that they're kind of I think the UFC knows what they're doing here. They're not going to feed Rojas to anybody too dangerous right now. What's your read on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a ton of Christian Rodriguez, right? His resume is pretty impressive. His only loss is to Jonathan Pierce, who's kind of murdering people right now.
Yeah,
Jonathan Pierce looks good. Paul Rosas, the UFC's putting a lot into him. Who do you think the favorite is?
Rosas.
He is. He's minus 210. Not a massive favorite. Not a massive favorite. And when guys are super green like this, sometimes Christian Rodriguez is 25 years old. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah,
has some experience. He's went in there with some serious guys. It's interesting. I just haven't seen enough of Rosas against somebody where I feel like I can get to minus 210. I'm going to lean with Rosas, right? Just because he's like the shiny new toy for the UFC.
yeah.
But I'm going to have to wait to see him fight a couple more fights to be sold on him.
I think that that's fair. I think the UFC clearly has a vested interest in him winning. Whether or not that'll come to fruition, I don't know. Rojas has looked good in every fight so far, but I think I mean, it's by design, right? 17-year-old phenom.
Jay Perrin, his last opponent, no longer in the UFC either.
Yeah, which poor Jay Perrin, because win or lose, he was probably getting cut from the UFC.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna side with Paul Rosas here. I'm gonna go with the young favorite
Raul Rojas.
Raul Rosas. I'm gonna go with him. I'm gonna stick with the Dana White Tuesday night contender series boy,
They're both Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series guys.
the younger one.
Younger one. There you go. You're going to stick with youth.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with youth. I think he's favored for a reason. I'm gonna just hope Vegas did their homework right on this one.
I think that's fair.
Now the next one I got a little bit of a lean on.
You got a little bit of a lean on Chris the Action Man Curtis taking on Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah.
Let me hear the lean. Don't
Who do you
tease.
think? We'll start off with who do you think the favorite is?
I think the favorite is Kelvin Gastelum.
He is, but very, very slight. Minus 120, minus 130 territory. And Chris Curtis is in that plus 10, plus 110 area. I think Gastelum's an absolute play here. I think he's a great play at minus 130. I love Gastelum here. Love Gastelum here.
Tell me why.
I'm in love. I just think he's fought the better competition. I like him against Whitaker. I liked him against everybody he's fought. He's a dog, higher competition. Curtis was getting beat by Joaquin Buckley in his last fight and then closed him out with a second round knockout. I like Gastelum all day at minus 128. All day.
So once again, and thank God we can kind of mend bridges, mend fences here after talking about Kevin Holland and the Argentine dagger going at it. I agree with you. I love Gastelum here. I think Gastelum's always been a guy who's kind of slept on in the UFC, but he's always a tough son of a bitch. I thought he was going to beat Israel Adesanya when they fought. I really did.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an older Gastelum, but I think this one, even this one in its current stage, is just a little bit more than Chris Curtis. I think he could even be a little bit slight bigger of a favorite here. I just like it. I like the degree of competition. I like the stylistic matchup for him. I think he's better at what Chris Curtis is good at. Yeah, I'm all over KG here.
I agree. And Chris Curtis, before beating Joaquin Buckley, lost that snoozer of a decision to Jack Hermanson. So I really do. I like Gastelum here.
I think you mean Till, right?
Chris Curtis?
No. You're talking Hermanson and
Yeah,
Curtis.
lost a UD to Jack Hermanson. Now, I mean, Gastelum also lost to Jack Hermanson via heel hook, but
Yeah.
it was at least a fight. I mean, those two kind of played patty cake for 3 rounds. So I think Gastelum's going to bring the heat to him, and that's something Kelvin's always been good at. Kelvin in possibly, I don't know about like a make or break here, but He's 1-4 in his last. He's 1-5 in his last 6.
Yeah, this is a big fight.
He lost to Adesanya on a UD that I thought he was going to steal, and I thought he had miscalculated some decisions there and kind of gave it away. I thought he was going to stop Izzy at some point. It looked like he had stuff that Izzy didn't have an answer for back then. Lost to Till, lost to Hermanson, lost to Whitaker, lost to Cannonier. All tough competition. But you got to be thinking you're in a make or break situation for Gastelum here.
Yeah, this is a big fight for him, man. He's in cut territory, and I think it's a winnable fight for him, man. I really do. I like him. I like him a lot.
Look, I have no reason to disagree with you, and I hope that's the right way. That's the right lean. We always talk about how good losses just turn into losses at some point. I hope this is not that moment for Kelvin Gastelum,
Agreed.
because I think if he loses to Chris Curtis, I think you're probably looking at the tail end of Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah, that's fair. Rightfully so, though. If he loses to Chris Curtis, you probably should hang it up. I don't think he
Yeah,
does, but we got the karate hottie. The
we did.
karate hottie.
I love Michelle Watterson. I really do.
Yeah, how could you not?
Always a good time to watch her fight. Somebody who I think is always kind of going to be at the top end of the middle, but is really never likely going to break into like championship caliber territory. But she's always fun to watch. She always puts on a good fight. She's taken on Luana Pinheiro. I don't know. How do you feel about this one?
It's one of those ones where I've seen Pinheiro fight, right? She subs Sam Hughes, I believe.
Yeah,
Michelle Watterson is a plus 140. I'm taking your part away from you. She's plus 140 and Luana's minus 160. Anytime there's a close fight with a girl who we haven't seen a ton out of and Michelle Watterson, I'm gonna just side with Michelle Watterson at plus money. I think plus 140 is value in a fight like that. Although I could see Luana just completely smoke her and be like, why did I put myself in that position? Too many moving parts. I'll go with the plus money, but I don't love it. What are you thinking on this one?
I think that's fair. Again, and this seems to be kind of the theme of the card. Is somebody up and coming is taking on kind of an aging legend who's on a skid. Michelle Watterson, once again, 1-4 in her last 5. Now, you look at those 4: Amanda Lemos, Marina Rodriguez, Carla Esparza, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Can't take anything away from that, right? Those are 4 tough losses, and a win over Angela Hill kind of smack dab in the middle of it. But again, tough losses at some point just turn into losses.
Yeah.
Michelle Watterson is 37. I can't imagine she's looking at doing this for too much longer. Only Holly Holm seems to have found the fountain of youth. Yeah, I think it's the right lean. I think I'd lean Watterson, but again, I'm not going to be surprised if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm willing to do it at the value, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's about it. Now we get juicy.
I'm willing to put another gentleman's wager because I know what you're going to say. I'm willing to put another Jackson on the line.
Oh, let's do it.
You think GM3 is going to beat Joe Pyfer?
Absolutely.
You just ain't been paying attention. Put that Jackson on the line. Give me that shake.
Yes, sir. Guaranteed.
No, I'll bet Philly any day of the week, but I actually feel pretty good about this one.
Really?
I do. I feel pretty strongly about this one.
I'll be honest with you. I have no idea why. Please tell me.
I think Joe Pyfer, honestly, I think he could be the next big thing at 185. He's just those hands of his are like fucking cinder blocks. I think he's a pretty constant dogfight in there. I think he's going to take it to GM3.
I got a strong lean here, brother.
Listen,
who do you think the favorite is? Who do you think the favorite is in Vegas? We'll go with there. We'll start there. We'll start there, and then we'll get to the rest of it.
I'm gonna say I think Vegas is leaning with GM3.
Pfeiffer, big favorite, minus 190, almost 2-1. Almost 2-1 for your boy Pfeiffer.
Look at me. Look at me in Vegas agreeing.
Look at you in Vegas agreeing. It's only right that I give you action on a dog, right? Because Kevin Holland is a pretty big favorite against Pons.
Fair enough.
So Piper's a decent favorite against GM3. I like GM3 a lot here.
Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
GM3's last win. He fought
Bruno
Bruno Silva.
Yep.
Bruno Silva has 22 wins on his resume. 19 of them are by knockout. This is a guy who went all 3 rounds with Alex Pereira. This Bruno Silva knocks out everybody he fights. GM3 submitted him in the 3rd round. He withstood the power, and he withstood him. GM3's last loss was Christos Joko. Joko, extremely durable and just negated the grappling. Dustin Stolfitz, GM3 has a win over. Makhmed Muradov, undefeated Russian, massive favorite. Huge favorite. GM3 subs him in the 2nd round. I just think GM3 is a super, super crafty vet. I think he's tailor-made for matchups like this. And I think he ends up subbing Pfeiffer or getting the better of him and finishing him. I just think that these are bread and butter matchups for veterans like GM3 to take advantage of, in my opinion. I don't think Pfeiffer is that real deal either, to be honest.
You know, it's just I come on here every week to get my heart broken.
And we'll go there.
By somebody I consider a friend. And it hurts. It hurts.
Can you tell me why I'm wrong?
I think Pfeiffer's hands are, I think you're undervaluing Pfeiffer's hands here. And I think Piper coming out of the Daniel Gracie team, coming out of Marquez MMA, those guys, I mean, they wake up grappling, they go to sleep grappling. These are guys who are prepared for grappling. I mean,
he's not the better grappler though.
He's probably not the better grappler, but I think
not want to be.
But I think GM3 is going to have a harder time than he thinks grappling with Joe Pfeiffer. I mean, Joe Pfeiffer's training partners are all grapplers.
I don't know. I just think it's a bad matchup for Pfeiffer. I really do. I just don't see anybody on Pfeiffer's resume that gets me excited. He beat Alan Amedovski. You could make the argument he was the worst person in the UFC at the time. Probably was.
Probably. But he beat him the way he was supposed to, right? I mean, he laid fucking bricks into him for 60 seconds before that fight was over.
100%. But no, so that fight ended with 4 minutes in the 1st round. His fight before that lasted a minute in the UFC. Fight before that, 17 seconds. Guy's 0-4 in the UFC. He's been finished in the 1st round 3 times. I just think he did what he was supposed to do 100% with Alan Amedovski. I just think GM3 kind of has a chip on his shoulder when you label him the underdog in situations like this. And I honestly just think he's like the perfect matchup for a guy like Joe Pfeiffer, who's still super green and still really hasn't been tested to that degree. I mean, you're talking 35-15 versus 10-2.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I just think I like GM3 here. I think the value's there. I'm going to take that plus 160, plus 170 right now.
Why don't you tell our fans that you hate the city of Philadelphia? Just say it.
But one thing I will say is when I faded them, they did lose. Sean Brady, Bilal Muhammad. Last one.
So you faded Brady once.
Chris Daukaus. Faded Chris Daukaus, he lost.
Brothers who are not in the UFC right now.
Both Daukaus brothers I faded. They're no longer in the UFC. Those are their last
They're working on a fucking comeback. It is what it is.
Pat Sabatini. I know this is a rough one.
Did you fade Pat?
I did fade Pat in that fight, and he was a big favorite.
Can we check the UFC reel can we check the YouTube reel to determine if that's true that you faded Pat?
We can't check the reel, but we can go back to YouTube and or Spotify. Check us out on Spotify and or TikTok possibly.
Yes. TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, we come into your homes in a number of ways. I agree with you on this point. I think
Okay.
I think Piper's resume, it makes it hard to kind of determine where he's going to stack up against GM3, right? I
Yeah.
agree. But what I will say is
Okay.
Pfeiffer's done what he has been supposed to do in his last few fights. Going back to his time in the CFFC after he injured himself on his first shot on the Contender Series, went back to the CFFC, got a dub, came to the Contender Series, got a dub, beat Alan Amidovsky handily and quickly. So what I've got to rely on here, and what I've kind of got to go to my Rolodex on, is guys in the area who know him and who have trained with him, and I will say this, friend of the pod, Timmy G, says that he's never seen anyone who hits like Joe Pyfer. I think there's something to that. I think he's a different level of striker. I think the power in Joe Pyfer's hands is not to be trifled with. And I think that this is the answer, right? I've been saying on this pod for a while now that I think Pyfer's going to be somebody at 185. This is where that question gets answered. Taking on GM3. It's a tough customer, absolutely. But I'm gonna rock with Piper until I see otherwise.
Yeah. The heart's there, Zach.
I'm gonna rock with Philadelphia every day of the fucking week.
The heart is there. The heart is there. You gotta love that. I love it. I don't. Do you think this is one last question? Last question, and I'm done. Do you think Joe Piper is a better striker than Bruno Silva? All honesty.
I don't know. I can't answer. We haven't seen enough Joe Piper yet.
Okay. And I agree with that. And for those reasons, I'm gonna stick with GM3. I like him here. It's a big answer though. If Joe Piper wins this fight, that's a big win. It's a very, very, very big win. You go from Alan Abadovsky to GM3. That is a massive step up in competition. And this is a guy who has serious wins over super serious, credible guys at 185 pounds. We'll see. We'll see.
Look, and I agree with you, right? But at some point, everybody who was great in the UFC had to take that step up. So I get it. GM3 being the smart play as a dog with a deeper resume, great grappling. I understand it. From what I have heard from people whose opinions I take to heart, they're saying Joe Pyfer is a different kind of striker, that this motherfucker's just got absolute cinder block hands, and I'm gonna ride with him until I'm proven wrong. And that's the way it is.
All right. Let's go down the line. We got Chase Sherman and Carl
on
Williams.
a late sub. It's taking on Carl Williams after Chris Barnett backed out.
Yeah. That's bullshit that Chris Barnett backed out. I don't know what happened. I'm just kidding. Hopefully he's all good. But yeah, Carl Williams just fought not too long ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, let me confirm.
Yeah, he fought.
It was March 11th.
March 11th he fought, and he won. He fought what's his name? Barlovsky?
Yeah, Lucas Brzezinski.
Decent fight. This was March 11th, so this was on the Jan Davalishvili card.
Yeah.
He's coming in, filling in for Chris Barnett against a guy in Chase Sherman who, hasn't been great. He fought Alexander Romanov on like on late replacement, and the UFC just gave him a 5-fight deal. Yeah, you have an idea who the favorite is here?
I'm gonna guess Carl Williams is the favorite.
Minus 450. Him and Gilbert Burns are the two. They're tied as the biggest favorites on the card.
Yeah, Chase Sherman is a 10-8 guy. We love the Vanilla Gorilla on this.
Absolutely.
We are big Chase Sherman fans. I've been watching Carl Williams. I watched his last 2 fights. He caught my eye on the Contender Series.
Okay.
Because he beat Jimmy Lawson, who's a Penn State wrestler. And he kind of fucking oomped him, right? Like he kind of doofed him a little bit. Like Jimmy Lawson, if memory serves correctly, Jimmy Lawson was a pretty big fucking favorite over Carl Williams. Carl Williams, who's 33 years old and is still relatively new to mixed martial arts, began his amateur career in 2019.
That's kind of crazy.
Right? He was 29 when he started in this game, and now at 33, my age, finds himself in the UFC. Um, and he's actually a few months older than I am. Carl Williams just has some unfucking believable natural athleticism.
Dude, and his cardio is good.
His cardio doesn't stop.
Yeah,
His cardio does not stop. And for a big boy, that is
yeah.
unheard of. Um, his only loss came kind of early on in his professional career. He lost via triangle choke. It looks like he got caught. Um, yeah, I look, it's so hard to look at Carl Williams at 33 years old and think like, all right, well, this guy's a competitor, but he is just unbelievably athletic, unbelievably conditioned. Um, I don't know. I want to back the Vanilla Gorilla so badly here. I want to ride with Chase Sherman so badly here, but I think Chase Sherman's best path to victory is showing Carl Williams a little bit of power that he maybe hasn't seen quite yet. A little bit of striking that maybe he hasn't seen yet. Jimmy Lawson, a wrestler. Brzezinski didn't look like he really had any answer for Carl Williams, who out wrestled him. Um, I think maybe Sherman could get it done with the hands. 15 of his 16 wins have been by knockout. He's got big power. Um, what's interesting or what can make this fight kind of fun, and maybe gives a little bit more credence to an argument for Chase Sherman. We've always said Chase Sherman should drop down to 205.
Yeah.
He's a pretty athletic dude, and he's a pretty small heavyweight. Carl Williams is similarly a pretty small heavyweight and a pretty athletic dude.
Yeah.
So we're looking at two guys who have some cardio to kind of keep going. Um, so maybe and Chase Sherman has been known to kind of overwhelm it and then take over in later rounds. Maybe that's a path to victory. I don't know. I am rooting for the Vanilla Gorilla, but Jesus Christ, is Carl Williams just an absolute mystery wrapped in an enigma?
Yeah. He's literally he has a lot of endurance. He kept a crazy pace in the Brzezinski fight. Brzezinski was a former light heavyweight who went up to heavyweight. So it was a guy who definitely has a decent cardio tank himself. I like Carl Williams here all day. I think he rolls Chase Sherman. I think he makes quick work of it. And Chase Sherman will be losing his what? His 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's lost 5 out of his last 6. This is going to be 6 of his last 7. Probably will get his walking papers. I'm going Carl Williams here. I'm seeing a little new blood at heavyweight in Carl Williams.
I don't think he's going to get his walking papers because I think he has a 5-fight deal. And I think
Maybe.
this is like the fourth of the 5 fights. So I think we're going to get one more. Um, this is a tough paper route. Um,
I mean, he goes to decision with really tough guys, Sherman.
He does. And Carl Williams, in his 8 wins, 5 have been by decision. He's kind of a decision guy. And I think that's because he has not been in MMA that long. Like he really did make a chump out of Brzezinski, but it looked like when he took him down, he didn't know what to do from there.
Yeah. Yeah. The pick remains the same. I'm going Carl Williams.
I'm I'm rooting for Chase Sherman. I don't know that I have enough heart to pick him, but I'm rooting for him. Um, I'm going to say this, though, and I'm going to circle back to our last discussion. We've got some live info coming in. Timmy
Oh,
Green, who's one of the tougher guys I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, would like us all to know that Joe Pfeiffer, who he's trained with, is the only man to ever make him question his place in this sport.
wow.
That's
That's pretty
from
serious.
that's from Timmy Green. That is, and if you've ever met or seen Timmy G train, this is a kid who's got some fucking toughness about him. So to give that kind of praise, Tim means it.
Damn, that's fire.
That's it. We had some info come in live. I want to make sure I bring it to the people as I get it. That's all I'm going to say.
Noted.
Is there anything else on this card we need to talk about?
I mean, there are good fights, right? Like Ignacio Bahamondes
taking on Trey Ogden. That's a good one.
That's a fun one. Steve Garcia and the Mongolian Murderer.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mongolian Murderer. It's all in the name. What more do I have to say?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
all the same.
I'll keep it light. I think Lapido Godinez smokes Cynthia Calvillo. Ignacio Bahamondes gets it done for sure. Mongolian Murderer and flip a coin on Sam Hughes and Jacqueline Amarim.
Fair enough. That's all of them. That's the whole card.
That's it. That's all she wrote.
That's it. That's all she wrote. We never really just kind of pick out the highlights of a card. We really do give a thorough fucking analysis, don't we?
We try our best.
We really do give a thorough analysis. Now, we didn't do an event last week, a pod last week, which tells me we should probably talk about the bantamweight division.
Yeah, we got some fun ones there now, right?
Well, Corey Sandhagen made Cheeto Vera look fucking silly. Just absolutely silly over the course of 5 rounds. So, yeah, we've got some fun ones here, especially since Merab Dvalishvili has said he will not fight Aljamain Sterling. I don't know if that's subject to change. I got to imagine that if Merab had a manager, Merab's manager would be telling him to stop saying that shit. What do you like at bantamweight? If Merab's word holds true, if he will not fight Aljo, and if Aljo gets through Cejudo, what's the landscape look like?
First off, Corey Sandhagen won a split decision. Okay. That was a close fight, according to one judge. One judge actually scored that for Cheeto.
That judge was smoking meth in the bathroom for 4 of the 5 rounds. Had to
be. He was smoking it at the judge's table. That is criminal. That's literally criminal. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's obvious. I think you give Merab Sandhagen, and then you have Cejudo fight Sterling. Sterling wins. He rides off into the sunset or moves up. Cejudo wins. Then the winner of Sandhagen Merab fights. The writing's on the wall. The writing's on the wall at 135. You agree?
I do. I agree completely. What a fucking performance by Corey Sandhagen. What an absolutely thorough performance by Corey Sandhagen. And we were both riding pretty high on the Cheeto train. And I'm sure Cheeto will be back. He did not look like himself in that fight. It looked like Corey's volume was just overwhelming him. But what a performance by Corey Sandhagen, really kind of earning the beloved reputation that he has. And truthfully, the Athletic Commission should overturn that split decision to make it a year day.
Yeah.
You would have had to have been blowing lines off of a ring girl's ass during that fight and just guessed at who you thought won.
Yeah, and been at a different venue while doing it.
Here's what I think happened. I think that judge was using recreational narcotics during the fight, staring at the ring girls, but the day before the card, he had listened to the 10-8 pod, heard our analysis, and just assumed that Cheeto won.
Yeah, a ref or a judge that would listen to our analysis would have to do those things to be a judge, right? Like he would have to be a judge to embody those credentials. Yeah, that actually checks out. I could see that. I mean, we know Vera's been kind of a slow starter, right? He kind of loses rounds and then he just relies on big shots to capitalize. He did it against Rob Font, who we talked about a little bit earlier in the card. But yeah, he just couldn't find that shot. I mean, Dominic Cruz was kind of making him look slow, and then he found the shot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been a telltale thing with Vera. Sandhagen did his thing. Don't let that take away from Sandhagen. Sandhagen is the real deal.
Yeah.
I don't see who would be a favorite against Merab, though. After the performance he put up against Jan, I'm not sure anybody could possibly be a favorite against that man on this planet. Is he not the betting favorite at 135 no matter what? He would be favored against Sterling, right?
I would think so. Yeah, I think Merab is the best bantamweight in the game right now.
And he'd be favored over Cejudo probably. That'd probably be the best fight, honestly. That's what we need to say. Cejudo beat Sterling, and then Merab come in to avenge Sterling's loss. I would love to see Cejudo and Merab fight. Oh my God. That would be a fight.
So here's what's interesting, right? Does Sterling feel as strongly about that team bond as Marab does? If Sterling loses to Cejudo, which I think is a very real possibility, what then? I mean,
I I don't think Sterling wants to fight Rob.
I don't think they want to fight each other. They're
No, no,
clearly
no.
very close.
I don't think Sterling wants that smoke.
Oh, I understand. I can't say that I blame him.
You know what I mean? Like, I think Marab doesn't want to fight him because they're friends, but I think Sterling genuinely just doesn't want to. Like, I'm good with us just being friends because there are stories about him getting his ass kicked in camp, and
Yeah.
and Marab being kind of like somebody that was like, "Whoa, this guy's beating my ass."
So I look at Marab the way I looked at commercials in the late 1990s. There was a commercial for the Energizer battery where they would stick an Energizer battery up that pink bunny's ass,
Yeah,
and he would just go into like hyperdrive with the fucking drum.
yeah,
That's Marab Dvalishvili for 5 rounds.
yeah. He's honestly, it's like a video game. It's like he broke MMA.
Yeah, he's terrifying.
If you look at it from an output standpoint, didn't he attempted, I believe it was what, 49 takedowns?
Yeah, like it was a record. He set a record for attempted takedowns.
And he threw like 500 strikes.
It's insane.
It You're talking 100 thrown strikes per round, and he's shooting 5 takedowns. He's shooting a takedown a minute.
That's insane. It's insane. I think
More than a takedown a minute, almost two.
I really hope Cejudo wins so that Marab gets his shot at the belt. I think the greatest tragedy of that division, which is such a fun, stacked division right now, the greatest tragedy of that division would be if a friendship between him and Aljo held up Marab getting a shot at the belt. Because I think he is hands down, far and away the best bantamweight right now.
Yeah, I'll watch Sterling. I'll watch the Hudo, and I think Sandhagen Marab actually does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of unfair to Marab and Sandhagen because in any weight class with their resume, they would have already had title shots. I know Sandhagen lost, but that's crazy. That's a great fight, man. 135 is in good hands.
Yeah, it really is. I'm excited for the future of that division. What else? Holly Holm proving once again she has found Ponce de Leon's fountain of youth, beating Yana Santos pretty handily. Nate Landwehr cut a stellar post-fight promo, which is why we love Nate the Great. Macy Barber should be in prison right now for robbing Andrea Lee, and
This is the second time that she's won a very, very sketchy decision.
I seriously want bank accounts checked. I want the judges' bank accounts checked to know how Macy Barber won that decision. I thought Andrea Lee won a clear UD.
Yeah.
Clear UD.
Yeah.
And I am no apologist for fucking Andrea Lee.
Yeah.
We have been hard on her on this podcast.
Yeah.
For both in-ring and out-of-ring decisions that she has made in her life. We have been hard on Andrea Lee. I am no Lee apologist, but she won that fucking fight.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's two very sketch Macy Barber decisions that have gone in her favor. Yeah, man. That's tough, dude. It's a broken record at this point. It's a broken record.
It really is, and it's such a fucking shame. The only other thing I thought that was worth kind of recapping from that was Duraev won a split decision over Chitty Bang Bang. Heartbreak. I thought Duraev had probably won the fight. It was close. It was a good fight. Not much else to say about it. Anything from that card jump out at you that we haven't touched on?
Not really, man. I got my full focus on UFC 287. It's a massive card. It's going to be a banger from start to finish. Pre's are going to be fire. Prelims are going to be great. I'm just looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it. Well, we're missing out on one though.
What's up?
There's one fight we're not going to get to see this weekend, and I'm bummed about it.
Oh, that is tough.
This was, you know what? I'm bummed, not because we had the gentleman's wager, which, we'll have about 1 million more of those in our time on this podcast. I was excited because I thought it was going to be a good fight. I thought it was a really interesting stylistic matchup. We're of course talking about Li Jingliang taking on Michael Maverick Chiesa. So that's the Leech, the 10-8 Grail on Mount Rushmore of the 10-8. The Leech is smack dab in the middle, always will be. Taking on the stalwart wrestler Michael Chiesa. I thought that was going to be just a fun fight to watch. I'm really bummed about it. The Leech's spine apparently looks like an accordion right now from a training camp accident.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
That's a rough one. That's a really rough one. But there is news to look forward to that I think might ease the pain. And I think if you follow our Instagram, you already know it. But the boy, 10-8 friend, Timmy Green,
Let's go.
aka Timbo Slice, stepping back into the cage at Art of War on May 12th. I'm gonna be real belligerent for that one. I'm gonna be real ignorant in the front row, real excited for that. Our boy's stepping in the cage. I saw him tonight at training, sweaty as shit. He just texted me, said he's getting up at 5 a.m. for strength and conditioning. The kid's ready to go. I'm stoked for it.
Let's go. Love that. Let's go, Tim.
So I'm sure we'll talk more about it. Maybe we get like a little sound clip from Timbo Slice to put on or something, but Timmy G is fighting. All is right in the world. Did you see, and this is exciting. This is some more feel-good news. Did you see who's getting into the Hall of Fame?
Cowboy.
Donald the Cowboy Cerrone.
I did.
Getting into the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to say right now, in no uncertain terms, I will be there at that ceremony, watching. Am I going to cry?
Yes.
Probably. I cried when he retired. I'll own that on the podcast. We bring our fans honesty. I can't deny it. I would if I could, but
I cried when he retired.
I did cry when he retired. So that's a feel good news. Oh, Timbo Slice bringing in a little bit more late information on
Let's go. We got an inside guy here.
Timbo Slice pointing out for us, because I told him, I said, John Boy is once again betting against the city of Philadelphia.
I am.
He said it makes sense because GM3 is a beast. He said people are leaning GM3 because of the grappling, but forget Joe was a runner-up to the state champion in wrestling in Pennsylvania, and that he can grapple.
We gonna find out.
That's a little bit more late news.
No, I mean it's big stuff. I mean, I'm not doubting the credentials of Piper. I just think the UFC is a different ball game. But Timmy said it though. Timmy said it. GM3 is a tough motherfucker, man.
He is.
Motherfucker. It's two monsters going to war. I mean, GM3 has more than earned his stripes in the UFC. He's beaten some of the best. He's the type of guy who they lowered down as the GOAT to be eaten, and he's come up big in some of those spots. Sure, Chimaev one-touched him, but Muradov undefeated going into that fight. He's been a huge underdog in a lot of fights, and he's come out on top. So you're just giving me more reason to want to back up my boy, but I get it. You got the inside guy, you got the Philly riding true in your heart, Zach.
Always that. Always that.
Of course.
What else? This is an interesting little piece of news. I don't know how much time we want to give it.
What's up?
But you want to talk about just absolute clown shoes in this world. Did you hear Paddy Pimblett wants to rematch Flash Gordon?
Stop. He doesn't want that.
What he said.
That's what he said, but he doesn't.
And weirdly enough, though, Flash Gordon wasn't even calling out Paddy. Right? Flash Gordon had moved on with his life until Paddy said he'd fight Flash again. And now Flash is like, yeah, well, let's fucking fight again. And if you're Flash Gordon, I mean, shit, fucking money in the bank.
Yeah, I mean, just hope that fight doesn't take place in England. Schedule it over here. Not that it matters, to be honest, but he does not want that fight. We shouldn't even be addressing Paddy right now. I feel like he's just trying to save face with everything going on. He's trying to play maybe full heel a little bit. Go full McGregor when he's down. But we all know Jared Gordon won that fight. We all know that Paddy Pimblett does not want to fight Ilia Topuria. And there's not much else to say about Paddy.
Didn't we get Ilia Topuria fight news recently?
Yeah, I think Josh Emmett.
Oh, that's right. I don't think we mentioned that on the pod yet.
No, that is an announced fight at 145 pounds.
That's a certified banger.
That That makes me anxious because
That's a fight
those
already.
guys swing with bad intentions. Both of them.
That's that's gonna be fireworks. I'm already excited for that fight.
Somebody's going to sleep. And by somebody, Josh Emmett's going to sleep.
I can't wait for that one. I'm stoked for that
It
one.
was either Emmett or Brian Ortega.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. I like it. I guess last little piece of news then to talk about. Michael Pereira is taking on Stephen Thompson.
Fun one. I think Thompson smokes him.
I think so too. I guess soon enough, this podcast is going to have to become a part-time WWE podcast, huh?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
merger.
the merger, the big merger.
WWE and UFC fall in line under one banner now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't.
What don't you like about it? I have my own reservations, but I want to hear yours. What don't you like?
I just like that they were both not affiliated with one another. I think WWE and UFC belong in different spots of what is conducted under the business. And I think if they go hand in hand together now, the two worlds are going to be meshed up a little bit. And I think if you kind of mesh them together, it takes away a little bit from both in its entirety. And I don't know. I don't love it. I just don't love it.
I don't love it either. I think, look, obviously the parent corporation that now owns both of them is going to win out on this one. That's going to be huge. The streaming possibilities, the bundling packages, the money they can make off of this is going to be huge. I think the only lose out on the deal now is, does it take away a little bit of the credibility of the UFC?
Yeah.
Now that they're going to be lumped together with the kayfabe of the WWE.
Yeah. I mean, that's a real concern.
It is, the second they have, Aljamain Sterling coming out at SummerSlam, I'm over it. I'm fucking over it. Like, I'm going to be fucking done with it.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's going to dilute one product will dilute the other one. Hopefully they don't do like a cross thing. You know what I mean? Where they come into both each other's worlds, but
I hope not. That's not the crossover I wanted the UFC to do. I wanted them to cross over with another MMA promotion, but
Speaking of other MMA promotions, last thing. If you can't see that,
I cannot
Pacheco, the girl who beat Kayla Harrison, apparently is fighting Julia Budd this Friday for the 145-pound PFL Women's Championship of the World. So that's the crossover you wanted, and we didn't even know that fight was happening until just now.
Yeah, we didn't know that was happening.
No, so there's our inside scoop. Sherdog Ads. Thank you, Sherdog Ads.
Thanks, Sherdog.
Yeah.
Something.
Little tidbit.
It's a tidbit. Speaking of PFL and speaking of Philadelphians, I'm sure you'll hate at some point. Big shout out to Pat Brady, no relation to Sean Brady. Pat Brady will be making his PFL debut sometime this year. Big heavyweight prospect coming out of Philadelphia. Art of War alum, tough son of a bitch. That'll be exciting.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, you hate this city. Just say it. Just tell our fans.
Dude, I don't. I just like value. I like value. Zach, you can't bet with your heart. I know it's the city of brotherly love, but you can't bet with your heart.
You can't be in the city of brotherly love and not have love, John Boy. Can't do it.
You gotta take your heart out of the sports book, brother. That's all I have to say.
Which is why I don't gamble.
That's fine.
I can't take my heart out of it. There's too much heart in here.
That's fine, but when we break down a fight, we promised that we would never lie to our fans, even if love got in the way.
Even if love got in the way. You're right.
You can't lie to the people. You can't lie to the people. They smell you. If they smell bullshit, they smell bullshit, Zach.
You know what? You're here speaking your truth.
Yeah.
We can respect that.
Thank you.
You are living your truth.
Thank you.
That's important. That's special.
Wear my heart on my sleeve.
Heart on the sleeve. Listen, I'm no stranger to it. I'm gonna keep it going here. I'm gonna keep my trend going of recommendation for the week.
Okay, let's hear it.
And this is something I never thought I would recommend, but it seems perfect for the card that is coming up.
Okay.
I am going to recommend the seminal hit Never Back Down, a movie about a young high school football player who discovers mixed martial arts when he moves to Florida and works his way almost impossibly quickly through the local MMA scene to fight the villain who is never shown training MMA, but is apparently the local MMA champion down there. There's some backyard fights that occur. Given that we've got a Masvidal Floridian card coming up this weekend, I'm going to recommend Never Back Down.
Damn, that's on brand. That's on theme. Holy shit.
Is it a good movie? Absolutely not.
Okay.
But for campy bullshit fun,
It'll do.
it'll do. It'll do in a pinch. There aren't that many good MMA movies. You've got to dig deep if you want a good. There's really only one good MMA movie.
Oh, wait, before you say it, I know
I
what it
wasn't going to
is.
say it because I was going to save it for a week when I was digging for a recommendation. I'm not going to say it
No,
out loud.
you got to now. It's oh, please don't spoil it. Here Comes the Boom, right?
Yeah, that was it.
With
Kevin
Jack
James, Here
Black.
Comes the Boom. That was it.
That was it.
Yeah, that was the one. It's not another one. I'm not going to say it. We both know which one it is. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it under wraps. But I will say that the star of that movie is currently doing some things in the local jiu-jitsu scene over in the United Kingdom.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Tom,
I did see that. I
that
did
dude,
see that.
that dude's a competition monster lately. He's just showing up to local jiu-jitsu competitions and winning them.
I did see that. That is impressive. That was cool to see.
I saw some people who were pushing for a Mario Lopez, aka AC Slater, versus Tom Hardy super fight in jiu-jitsu. And I'm gonna say I'm fucking here for it.
I would watch the shit out of that.
Yeah, I think Tom Hardy might have just gotten his purple belt. AC Slater, who was a real life wrestler, is also a jiu-jitsu purple belt. Could be a fun matchup.
I like it.
Be fun. You got anything else for this week, John Boy?
That about does it for me, brother.
Yeah, well, you know what then, guys? As always, call your mother. Tell her you love her, because we out.
Peace.